Brett. Okay.
Oh,
What's up, Buttercup?
what's up, dude?
What's on your mind? First of all, you grew your hair out. When did you start with me? 5 years ago.
I met you on my 26th birthday, so January 22nd of 2018, and you texted me May 20th. Or no, excuse me, I started with you full-time May 20th of 2018. So I'm approaching 5 years with you. Yeah. So, which is a good transition. I've been with you so long. I'm now a leader. And one of the things I think I struggle with is now it's like I'm in a role where like I'm managing, and I don't think I'm struggling with it, but one is like difficult conversations. Like how have you delivered? Like, how do you have difficult conversations with people? Having uncomfortable conversations is obviously hard to do. How do you approach it as a leader to like, you've led a team before, like how do you go about it?
I think conversations are only ever difficult if you treat them as a surprise, right? Like, oh, I go tell that person that bad news. You only feel that way if you know the other side isn't expecting it, right? Where it's like this surprising moment, where it's a bad moment. Something that I've learned over the years, and this is like personal relationships and work relationships too, is if you are consistently vocal with people about how you feel, and you don't just leave how you feel until when you're not happy, which is typically how most people operate, then you don't really ever have difficult conversations. Then you're just having conversations where the outcome is not what either of you wanted, but you both understand it's coming, right? So that's like, for example, most managers just sort of assume, okay, I'm going to hire you to do your job. And they always forget to tell you when you're doing a good job, but people need reassurance. Yeah, people need reassurance. They need gratitude. People need to be told, hey, yeah, I know I'm doing this job, but I'm doing it for you, and, do you even care? Most managers and most people who lead only go to their people when there's a problem. And so then that creates a disjointed relationship where then, for example, like you and I would only ever really talk when there's issues. When you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because let's be the most efficient with our time. Anything good, anything easy, you can probably just handle. You don't need me.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the president of the United States. That person only deals with issues once the entirety of America can't figure it out. The whole government can't figure it out. Every single person, like, damn, this is way too, we got to take it to him, right? Yeah. And so then the president is like, all day long, all he deals with are the hardest decisions on the planet, right? That's his life. But it's out of efficiency. Right? You're not going to go and have a half an hour meeting with someone who's super busy, deals with problems all day to say, hey, let's talk about good things, unless it's scheduled, and then it's like a review.
Yeah.
I think the way in which people communicate now is way more different than it ever used to be. This isn't a standard like boss, employee, W-2, this is how you do things, punch out at 5 o'clock, here's your pension check when you're 69, right? This is now far more like, hey, you have a family at home, you're building a family here, we're creating other families, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And so what that means that is you need to have more daily conversations where you're expressing the good, the bad, and the ugly all the time. That way, when there's bad news or difficult conversations to have, it's never difficult because it's like, hey, you know how we've spoken about every day for 2 weeks? I don't know, just this isn't working out, right? Or you're giving people like set expectations of, we got to make sure the trains are running on time. We got to make sure that the edits are on brand. We got to make sure that the quality is here. You made a couple mistakes. It's totally fine. I cleaned it up for you. All good. I believe in you. But let's go 2 weeks without a mistake and let's touch base then. And if they fuck up, right?
Yeah.
Then they knew that they were screwing.
Because you've had to like repeat a talk track and got it. Yeah.
Yeah, most of us just don't have enough communication. I think one of the problems we have now is we all think we talk all the time because we watch each other all the time. Like, I feel like I know you so well, but I really know you when we're together, which is minimal. And then I follow you online. I follow you on TikTok. I follow you on social. I see what's happening. I see what's happening with your kids. I see you, grabbing burgers. I see. And then we never really talk about it because we watch each other. And then what happens is there's no communication because you don't actually tell me about your life anymore. The same way I don't tell you about my life. You would never say, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Because you know exactly what I did this weekend because you watched it happen.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, you used to have, how was your weekend conversations? Now we just watch each other. And what it's really done is I think people think we have more conversations, but we've actually gone to having so few conversations that I think it's really kind of started to fuck up culture for a lot of people. And so I think it's an important part of leading that we need to have more active conversations and just be aware of the fact that you're probably having a lot fewer than you think you are.
I think you're right, because I think a lot of these difficult conversations stem from a lot of little conversations that aren't being had, and then a problem just escalates and boils up, and it explodes in the sense where you need to have a difficult conversation about it.
It's like anything. It's like Amelia will yell at me and she'll be so angry because I don't know, I do something tiny, right? Like I forgot to move something or I'm chewing too loud or something. In my mind, I'm like, it was just a chip, right? But in her mind, it's 2 weeks worth of you not being, or whatever the issue might be.
Yeah.
Then you find the little crack, the little thing that you're doing right now that I could call you out on right now. And that's how most of this happens, right? Where it's like an employee will do something small, but you're like, you know what? You're fired. Because you haven't had the conversations to state that like, dude, for the last month, you did all these other things. I just didn't have time to actually have conversations with you about them. Now the employee thinks that they're in trouble for like sitting in the wrong chair, whatever the stupid thing might be.
Another thing that I'm like struggling with as like a leader is we find ourselves doing a lot of the same things over and over, and it's like how do you motivate someone or like a team? Like how do you keep them, I don't know, creative or engaged, or just I guess just motivated is the word. How do you motivate a whole team?
Innovation, right? Well, I think to you were doing vlogs all day long, right? And then property tours. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then you came to me and said, I have this idea for something called Listed. And I could have said, no, do vlogs and property tours and shot it down. And you might have left, right? You might have gone and done something else. Someone else might have given you opportunity to have innovation somewhere else, to grow in your own way. And I would have lost you. And I might not have even known it because maybe I would be too stubborn. I think most people fall in that position. Bad jobs, you put people in a sandbox. And you say, yeah, play within the box, but don't fucking get out of the sandbox, right? And here, and I think the way you should do it is, it's a beach, right? So in bad places, they have a sandbox. In good places to work, you have a beach. Maybe don't go off the beach, but the beach is 5 miles long, right? You want to build Listed, let's do it over here. It's on the same beach, right? You want to go swimming? Go for it. Don't drown, right? You want to go get a boat? You want to learn to sail? You want to do this? Let's do it. But just make sure, like, you're going to have to keep coming back to the beach so you don't die. Don't go and jump on the highway or go to the lake or do other things. And that way people feel like they have a lot more freedom to expand, to innovate, to grow, to do their own stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're not going to be on the beach at night. So what do you do on the beach at night? And I really, really allow people to play. I think there's, I don't know, something I try to emphasize, and maybe I don't talk about it enough either, is like, I really want everyone who works here to feel like there's like a strong element of play, right? Like, I don't think that ever leaves us when we're little kids. Like, you see it, like, you have 2 little kids. Zena was packing up, right? They're headed to actually the beach today for President's Day weekend and stuff. Zena was like, before I pack, can I play? She asked for it. I just want to play. And she goes and gets a doll, and then she plays and literally says, hooray, because it's a win for her that she gets to play. It's cool. I don't want anyone who works here to ever feel like, wow, I have to go to work. I mean, I think we'll all feel that way sometimes. Yeah. You have days where it's literally just meetings on top of meetings, and this on top of this, and a week that'll feel like, man, I did the same shit all the time.
Yeah.
But I also want everyone to know, and you can do the same thing for your directs, right? Your reports, that this is an environment where you can come, get your shit done, and also have fun and play, right? Play on the beach, not the sandbox.
So basically allowing them to explore the beach. and encouraging them to like play in different parts of the beach.
Yeah, man.
And got it. That's good. That's good.
Look at anyone who works here who's been successful or has been here for a long time has brought the entire business into new avenues that are not because of me. Like, because listed you were like, hey, we should do this, you know, and you just passed 100,000 subs on YouTube and you've grown it totally organically. Okay, more? Okay, great. Gratitude, yeah.
Just lean into it.
You know, you see it in the ID Lab too. Kristen, who's been with me a long time, and you know, she plays on the beach all day. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna. I was also thinking about this, and you're thinking about comps and all that. That's why I send you so many videos about different ideas, because I know you're the guy that I'm gonna go to. Where I'm like, how do we change the property tour before someone else does it, and then we're playing catch up? We've been so great, the real estate space anyway, of leading the charge on innovation. Like, let's switch it up. Let's do different things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think your people can do that too. So it's allow them to play on the beach and use the whole beach, and make sure you're having more consistent conversations, and just set it up in a sandwich if you want to have structure to it, where it's like a weekly good, bad, good, right? GBG, just good, bad, good. Yeah. Like, just even like real quick, you can set it up where like, you know, Jen or even my sister will, like, every night at dinner, you know, what's the best thing that happened to you today? Right? What's a good thing that happened to you today? Because it gets your brain thinking about something that you might actually totally go past, but then you're like, oh no, wait, that was good. So you're registering happiness and using it as a memory, right? It's kind of like, it's like a drug that way.
Yeah.
Same thing for employees. If they know that on every Wednesday, every Friday, you're going to go with them for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, and be like, dude, last week, your GBG, where you crushed that one tour. You never responded to that email I had to follow up with you on. You got to get better on that, okay? But then you were also awesome in the team meeting we had. Like, those questions you brought up were huge, dude. That is you opening up the beach. All right, go away. You know, like because it'll set in their mind, like, wow, I do good things. There's also things I can improve on, versus you just consistently telling them they're great until that one day you're like, dude, I got to have a conversation. And then you filled up this like,
It is uncomfortable. Yeah. When is a good time to like leave? You notoriously left your last brokerage. Like, why? And then like when? Or when and why?
I mean, the reasons I left the last firm are super, super unique to that situation.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Listen, the grass is never greener on the other side. It's only greener where you water it. It's why they say that.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you have a great thing going, a great place, and you have freedom of flexibility, and you can understand, like, hey, here's where I want to get to, then sure, you can go be someone brand new. We're going to have a honeymoon period of a couple months and had another place, or go on your own. And then you're going to have to deal with the same old shit.
Yeah.
Just dealing with people.
Yeah.
Right? But if you have an entrepreneurial bug and spirit, and you want to do your own thing 100%, and that's a separate conversation that I think you start to have, you know, in your instance with me, you know, with your people, with you, much, much earlier on. And oftentimes, like, that's probably the one thing that I resent the most out of the firm I was at before, is that entire executive team looked at my departure as a negative, when what they should have done, and maybe I would have stayed, I mean, maybe not, what they should have done is, like, 5 years beforehand, recognize that, like, okay, he's operating on a different level, right? We have a bunch of teams of 1, 2, and 3 people. Serhant has 65 in 4 states. Like, we should treat him in such a way that we know that he could probably go do his own thing. So let's be a part of that when it happens. That way there's no difficult conversations. But the firm that I was at, right, they're going to die on their own ego. It just is what it is, you know? Yeah. Whereas, like, for me, there's massive teams here that are crushing it. I'm talking to them early on about them starting their own companies.
Yeah. Last question. Like, me, I'm in a unique situation, right? Like, I never want to leave here if I don't have to, ever, right? I love you, and I love what we've built. I love my team. And I'm also, like, juggling this other thing that I'm doing. I recently got signed through a talent agency. So that's exciting.
Which is awesome.
Right. So it's just like, I'm doing both at the highest degree, like as far as effort goes. My weekends are not dedicated to that.
Yeah.
And then during the week, I'm obviously here. Like, what advice do you have for someone like me who like is doing these two? I think I'm doing both well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm in a rock and a hard spot. I don't want to leave, but I also know this thing is interesting. So we don't have to use this for the video, but this is actually a conversation that we should have at some point.
Everyone's situation is different, right? Comes down to income, quality of life, everything.
Yeah.
Really, like, what does working by yourself, for yourself, actually mean?
Yeah.
You know, like you see, there's people who've left here, and then there's people who come back in the same year,
Yeah.
right? Because they're like, no, this didn't make sense for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on what you want to do. You want to be a full-time creator and build that brand? Maybe that's in a year or two. We should talk about that before then.
Right.
I think your success across content, given your role, is fucking awesome. You know, like because you can literally sit down with people and say, okay, this is exactly how I did it, right? You could say that.
Yeah.
You're not talking about me or anybody else. This is what you're doing.
Yeah.
You understand the formulas, and I think it's inspiring for not just all the agents who work here, but also all the employees, all your people. Like, what are the secrets to, let's say, my success as a leader is that I've always just wanted to be someone who leads by example. I'm never going to be the person who's like, I come in at 10 a.m., you should be here by 8 because I'm paying you, right?
Yeah.
Like, you should be here by 8 and I will beat you every day. You should stay late if you have shit you need to do because I will be here later than you, right? You will never outsell me because I'm going to outsell you. Like, I want everybody to like be inspired by the person that they work with.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, I work for that person.
Yeah.
And I think we've all worked for people who were like, just this person's just either paying my bills or I'm just giving this person checks and doing them a service for what? So they can be on their boat.
Yeah.
Like, my whole family right now is going to be on vacation for a week at the beach. I'm not with them, right? I'm here
Right.
making content with you.
Yeah, that is one thing I could say. As much as I want to strangle you sometimes, you are like you lead by example, and I think that's fucking awesome.
You have to.
I remember when I was first here, I was like impressed because I thought you were just like the TV guy, and then you were like here early, and then like I was back when I first started, I would try to make it a point to like leave last.
Yeah.
And then like the vlog at the time would leave. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm still here. And I'm about to leave, and like you're still there. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to like look as like good as possible, and this guy's still here. I don't know. I just thought that was I've always thought that was really impressive. Thank you. Will do. I quit.